So, there was one logbook that I was missing. It was the null commander. Actually, I was missing two logbooks. I was missing the null accelerator and the null commander. So I have the null accelerator. Interestingly enough, this was the final logbook that I was missing from the null and void event. But I now also have the null commander logbook, which is a logbook that I'm pretty sure that I got pity killed, which is very interesting. Now, for some reason, the null accelerator doesn't have a preview, which I think is really odd, but the previews for some of the null and void event enemies are kind of broken anyways. The other enemies I can think of is the the Executioner skeleton. It has no animation in its preview, which is really odd, but none of the skeletons themselves actually have description, much like, I mean, the gravestone has a description, despite also spawning in from the null Executioner, so I'd have to, the null Necromancer, so I'd have to assume that the developers overlooked the skeleton descriptions. Additionally, I finally managed to do the Against the Odds triumph on the Night 3 hard mode with no exclusive or hardcore towers, managed to do that. So that means I therefore have all four banned crates, which I can open them to get all the banned skins. You can see that the area here is the crate opening area, which is underneath the lobby. So the area does still exist, it's just that it's not in the main part of the lobby that you can open it. Also, if you don't notice, the animation is very similar to the cold front crate. You type in 1337 to open the crate, and that means I now have all of the banned skins in Tower Defense Simulator, because I managed to get 2 from the live events and 2 from these events. Now, the developers did say that there were going to be 5 in like the announcement that they said when they were doing their admin abuse live event. However, many people assume that this is now a typo, given that there is no other banned skin that has been added to Tower Defense Simulator. There was some speculation that it may be for the event tower, aka the Warlock Tower, but since that tower was added, there has been no skin for it, so one has to assume that when the developers said that there were going to be 5 banned crates in this event, the developers just made a typo. I suppose that there might have been 5 banned crates, but only 4 banned skins, in case like the developers wanted to have another one as a novelty item and another crate as a novelty item. For example, many people, they actually do have some spare crates as novelty items. For example, I have 2 lovely crates as a novelty item, but some people also had like 1 missing or like 1 spare frost crate. I didn't, but the developers, when they added the frost mortar to the game, they actually added it to the frost crate, so you could open it after you got the frost crate, the spare frost crate from the frost invasion event, except some of us didn't have a spare frost crate. For example, I didn't, because I completed the get battle pass really early, and if you did that, you only got 4 frost crates and you didn't have 1 as a novelty item. So some people did have that missing. And then of course I have like a novelty coin crate. I also have 100 novelty ugly crates. So maybe the developers were planning to have, from what the developers said, that they were planning to have live events before the release of every single event in the Null and Void event, which would give you 2 for the live events before the release of the Halloween event, plus the 3 for the Null and Void events nights. However, we only ended up getting 4. I really doubt that this late into the event that the developers are going to add a 5th banned crate and a 5th banned skin, but even if there was to be a 5th banned skin, I don't know what it would be. There has been no leaks, and I have been keeping up with the leaks from the developers about the Null and Void event, so one would have to assume that perhaps the developers only made a typo when they said that there were going to be 5 banned skins in this event. Right, after this, we have some leaks. I'm not sure if I ever talked about this, but the Gladiator rework said to be coming soon. Apparently, someone posted this image of a Gladiator rework. I don't know where this is from, but many people thought that this was real, and it is fake. I mean, it does look like a very convincing fake, but apparently this person suggested that they managed to get Below Natural to open up about the real Gladiator rework. Now, this appears to be a leak for the real Gladiator rework. The real Gladiator in the game doesn't have this red stripe across its hood, so we can assume that this is the real Gladiator rework. But additionally, obviously, the face that's shown off here isn't real, obviously. Well, this is the I Show Speed face, I think, when he's trying not to laugh. Obviously, that's not going to be part of the skin, unless there's going to be like some April Fool's skin for the Gladiator, which does have this, which would be very interesting. Next is some unreleased get name tags for the null and void event. So all of these name tags we've seen here, they actually do exist, I do believe. And then if we go to here, we are missing one of these name tags. So the Outer Bears ones seen here, that is the missing Halloween null and void events name tag for this event. Interestingly enough, it's always the Outer Bears name tag that appears to be missing when it comes to unreleased name tags. The other stuff, so the Bard VFX stuff shown up here, all of them, I do believe, are in the event. So, again, I don't know why, when it says Outer Bears, I assume when it says Outer Bears, it is Outer Bears who made it. He is a developer for Tower Defense Simulator, but I just don't know why then it's not released to the general public. One has to assume that maybe these are admin name tags that Outer Bears creates only for himself and the development team, but it seems really odd not to even sell these when you could clearly, I mean, it clearly looks like another name tag. It's not that special, I can't lie. It's very similar to the other name tag right next to it. It's just that it has green bubbles and green smoke. Additionally, there is another unreleased name tag thought of. There is the green poison name tag. However, interestingly enough, the developers have updated the green name tag, which was actually meant to just be this, into the green poison name tag, which is an error in my opinion, because the other name tags that cost 500 coins, they're just simple recolors, and so having like the blue name tag look like this and then the green name tag look like it has sophisticated effects seems a little bit wrong in my opinion. And it's because it is. This is just the green poison name tag that's meant to be unreleased, yet the developers have like messed up some detail, and so they've named the green poison name tag the green name tag, but the green poison name tag is also an unreleased name tag. So there's two name tags that are the same, yet one of them is in the game that you can buy, whereas the other one you can't get. Does this ring a bell? Yeah, it seems very similar to Winter Abyss. There's a legacy Winter Abyss which the developers added once they, well, quote, changed the original Winter Abyss from the old map into the new map, and when they reverted that to the original Winter Abyss, they also kept around Legacy Winter Abyss, which is really odd. Right, next is an update to a video I made about plushie skins. So in that video I said that not all of the plushie skins have been updated to the developer products. The one that I pointed out was missing was the golden minigunner plush. However, the developers have now added it here. Again, I'm not too sure why the developers would add skins that haven't been in the game or haven't been sold as part of like the Tower Defense Simulator experience since, I don't know, 2023, and there is no plan for these to be re-added, but I guess they are here just in case the developers plan to resell the plushies for these later on down the line. Not too sure. Now, I don't normally fuse in the Alter Ego works with the Tower Defense Simulator works, but we might as well because, you know, there's nothing else really to talk about in Tower Defense Simulator apart from the winter event, but that'll be a separate video. So apparently there's going to be an animal hoodie skin for the noob for Alter Ego for the beta launch coming later this year apparently, I'm not sure when. There's also Night 1 cutscene, but then also they've recently posted a roadmap for everything in Alter Ego that is on a Trello board here. So you can see here that there is a lot of things for the Alter Ego roadmap, for the public roadmap at least. It's what I guess the developers have an internal one that they don't want to keep in the public, but there's a lot of stuff here, including what these. They also do have like November stuff, including a new survivor, console compatibility, status effects, system revamp, improved mobile UI or UX, sorry, and a hack minigame. Interesting. They also plan to release the Soul Shop in December, roster progression, a new ego, another new ego, emotes, taunts, map consumables, and they've got, interestingly enough, January and beyond with a new survivor, but also the developers haven't said too much about a release in December, which I'd assume the natural release date for Alter Ego would be for at least to beta. But I mean, obviously they have mentioned here that everything here is subject to change, so don't expect too much from Alter Ego, at least for now. The developers did release a bunch of stuff on the progress feed for Alter Ego in recent times, this being on the 10th of November, and then this being actually today as I record this video, which I believe does have new visual effects in Alter Ego. Very interesting, but since the game is not released, I don't think many people care too much about these leaks. Below Natural has also recently said that there should be a TDS public roadmap coming soon, similar to the Alter Ego public roadmap. So I guess we can see later on where the updates are going to fall. For example, we still don't know when the Tesla Tower is going to be released, despite being promised in September before being delayed into November. But there's only like one more update in November before the developers have to say it's going to be in December. So who knows? Also, some polls on the Tower Defense Simulator Discord regarding the Null and Void events. So which night feels the least interesting in a Null and Void event? Night 1, to be expected. Night 3 is the most interesting. 30% of people said it was the least interesting. Fair enough. Night 1 probably has the least backstory. I mean, it does have a backstory. It has the longest cutscene, I believe. But Night 1 being the most boring because it's the shortest. Fair enough. Do you guys like the Triumph of All Nights badge for this event? 20% of people said it's fun. 57% of people said it's okay. 23% of people said it's bad. I think that's a success for the developers. Only 1 in 4 or 5 people actually find it bad. That's fair enough. As for the golden perk, I think it's kind of skewed with the Triumph of All Nights being active right now. Otherwise, the golden crook boss wouldn't be nearly as high as it is right now, 47%. The golden pyromancer is the worst, then the golden minigunner, then golden cowboy, then golden scout, interestingly, and then the golden soldier. Yeah, between what I can see, the golden crook boss, I don't think it's first. Golden soldier is probably first. Golden crook boss is either second or third. The only reason why I say that is because right now, most people are using the Golden Crook Boss for the event. Outside of the event, I don't think the Golden Crook Boss gets that much use. The Golden Soldier and the Golden Scout probably gets much more use. And even the Golden Minigun probably gets more use than the Golden Crook Boss, even though the Golden Minigunner is kind of right now because everything's power creeped it so far. Interestingly, there is a poll also on the Cowboy saying, does the Cowboy and the Golden Cowboy feel power crept / outdated? 75% of people said yes, even though in the Death Touched achievements, most people, what they do is they stall the Null Warden on wave 19 and then use the Cowboy and Golden Cowboy to farm the living hell out of it because it doesn't have lead detection. I think that would be very interesting. Well, actually, this is polled after that, but very interesting that many people say that it's been power crept / outdated, even though it does have some utility if the enemy can't be killed by the Golden Crook boss. Stated reasons: too niche, farm is better, wave bonuses are good, etc. Income too slow / inconsistent. Tower has poor jack of all trades-esque balancing, feels outdated, unable to defend against modern modes. Other stated in thread, I don't really want to know, because 36% people said it's too niche, and then 20% says income is too inconsistent and feels outdated, 25%. So that's the majority of people saying inconsistent, something about the income. And finally, still no news on when the Harvester and Slasher Towers go off sale, even though it's been over a week, and in fact nearly 2 weeks since these towers have been on sale, or 2 weeks from when they were meant to go off sale on the 5th of November 2025. As I record this video, it's the 14th of November 2025, and this video should be released on November the 15th. So it's been 10 days since these game passes have been put on sale, and they have not been taken off sale. And I believe it's the same for the Jester, even though there is really no expiration date for it. I mean, it's the same for the Hallowpunk, which was said to only return until October 25th. It's been, what, 3 weeks since this was said? So one would have to assume that the developers remove it once the Christmas event turns up, or maybe even 2026. It might be on sale for that long a period of time. But one would also assume that the developers are making a lot of money from these game passes.